So, you have just received your request for visa mail and you have also sent your passport to IRCC. Perhaps it has returned back to you. Great thing, fantastic news. Congratulations to you on this new step that you're about to take. But that's not all. Let's find out what to do next. Hi there, I am Ichechi. If this is your first time seeing me, if this is your first time getting to know me, I just want to thank you for clicking and I do hope that you consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much guys and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So, today's video is centered on what to expect at the Canadian port of entry and how to respond to these questions by immigration officers. I'm going to be sharing my experience with you guys and also what to expect and how to prepare for it. Now that you've gotten your passport back, you have booked your flights and you are all set to come into Canada. This video is not in any way the intention is not to scare you, but it's just to prepare your mind that you're definitely going to deal with immigration. Now mind you, these officers have the power to send you back to your country if for any reason they feel that you haven't provided reasonable answers or you are unsure of your status in Canada. So please take note. And now if you see me looking down, I have actually penned down a couple of things so I don't miss out on any important point. Now, these questions I have categorized into three sections. The first is who you actually are. The second would be why you are visiting Canada, more like your purpose in the country. And the third one would most likely be when you plan to leave Canada. So depending on what your purpose is, that would determine the next set of questions they would have to ask you. So for the who you are questions, these are the things that you would probably hear. In my case, I am a permanent resident, so they're going to ask you if you have ever been charged or convicted of a crime or offense in any country. Now, you don't want to lie about these things. In my case, I haven't. So obviously it's going to be a no, right? If for any reason you have, don't hesitate to state that. Obviously, when you were feeling like putting all your details in your application process, some of these questions you can admit that you saw them and you filled appropriately. So be sure that everything that you did prior to this time corresponds with exactly what you were saying. Now, another question you'd most likely be hearing is, have you ever been refused admission into Canada? If it's a yes, give them a yes. If it's a no, it's a no. Also, you'd probably hear, have you ever been required to leave Canada? Whatever your situation is, don't hesitate to answer correctly. And another question you'd also be hearing is on your dependents. Have you any dependents other than those that you listed below? I am the principal applicant and it was just me. Obviously, no other dependents. So if for any reason maybe at a point where you plugged in all your details, your status has changed, they just want to make sure that you also declare all of that correctly, right? You all know that people come into Canada for different reasons. So obviously the officer is going to also ask you what your purpose is in the country. You could be a visitor, you could be a student, you could be a permanent resident, you could be here on spousal application. Whatever your situation is, endeavor to state exactly what it is. You don't want to have or be on a visiting or have like a visitor status and you say you're here to work. You're already setting yourself up for failure and possible deportation ASAP. So if you're a permanent resident, please tell them you're a permanent resident. If you are a student, don't fail to state that. Maybe as a student, other things they would probably ask you would be like your admission letter, your maybe your, what's it called now, hold on 1 second, your statement of purpose. They could just ask you any question. Sometimes I know that as a student you probably were refused entry into Canada, or your study permit was denied. Don't also hesitate to state that. They could just ask you what was the reason for your initial denial. Just tell them what it was, and you want to know exactly what you wrote in your statement of purpose. Please look at it. You don't want any surprises. You don't know the disposition of the visa officer, rather immigration officer you're going to come in contact with. Know these things. Let it be at the tip of your fingers. Now, when it's time for you to submit your documents, you'll be needing your passport. You would also need for if you are a permanent resident, definitely your confirmation of permanent residence. Now, they also asked me the country I departed from. So I stated that I departed from Nigeria through Germany and now Canada. And they could ask you what flights were you on, which they also asked me. So I said Lufthansa. Luckily, I still had my boarding pass with me, so I asked the immigration officer if he wanted to see that, and he said yes. So I gave it to him, and he had to make some input and all of that. Now, the next question you are going to be asked is how much cash you have on you. Guys, this part is very important. If you are coming into Canada with the sum of 10,000 CAD and above, you must declare that money. Whether it's cash, preferably, please declare it. So don't deny that you have that amount if you do have that amount of money. You may think that you're going to escape it, but at the point where you're probably trying to open your account and all that, it just might come back to bite you. So obviously at the point where you're doing your self-service and all that, you even ArriveCan, but right now ArriveCan is no longer compulsory. Effective 1st of October, it's no longer was a compulsory thing to do. So if you have all that amount of money in your possession, please be sure to declare it. At the point where I got to the self-service, like the machine and all that, inputting my details, there's a receipt that will be given to you if you have that amount or whatever amount of money anyways. Don't avoid any discrepancies. Basically, just avoid any kind of discrepancy with the amount of money you have. Another important document you need to have in your possession is your bank statement. Have your bank statement. They may not ask you for it. They may ask you for it. What you don't want is if you ask for it, you're like, I don't have it. It sounds funny. I would rather you err on the part of excess than not have you don't have sufficient information that can water down your statement or whatever it is you're trying to tell the immigration officer. So have your statement of your bank statement handy. You just might need it or not. Another question you'll be asked or maybe asked is if you were in possession of things that are contraband, for instance, meat, dairy products, chicken products, and anything that is made from chicken or the byproducts. Yeah, so in my case, I didn't have any of that, and yeah, that was it. So after all the questions, I was asked to go sit down. Yeah, the officer kept typing things into the system, and after a short while, he called me and said, "Congratulations." So I hope to hear congratulations from you and for you to also share your immigration questions. Well, I do hope that you learned a thing or two. I mean, if you stayed up to this point in time, I like to think that you have been able to gain something. So I hope you consider subscribing to my channel. Give this video a like and click on the notification bell icon so you can stay abreast with any video I post on here. Until then, I'll see you guys again. Mwah.